Welcome to the SBCA podcast, Component Connection, where we explore the people, ideas, trends, and innovations shaping the market and the future of structural building components. Whether you're on the shop floor, in the office, in the yard, or out in the field, we're glad you're here.
Welcome, everyone, to Component Connection, the podcast powered by the Structural Building Components Association. You may notice something a little bit different about this episode of Component Connection. We are excited to be expanding the scope of this podcast to highlight the many different ways SBCA supports its members and the broader structural components industry. That means you will start hearing from more of our team, each bringing their own perspective and expertise on different topics, from technical standards to safety practices to workforce and advocacy. I am Abby Langenberg, SBCA's Director of Business Development. In my role, I work closely with our members to better understand their needs and help them get the most out of their SBCA membership. Through this podcast, we will be diving into tools, trends, and conversations that matter the most to your business. So we are going to be starting with something that affects every job site delivery, job site packages. And to talk about job site packages is our own SBCA Executive Director, Jess Loesch. Welcome.
Hey, thanks, Abby. I appreciate you having me on the podcast.
Yeah. So let's kick things off with the basics. Why do job site packages matter to component manufacturers and to their customers?
Well, kind of to start with the component manufacturer perspective, really it comes down to communication. It's an opportunity for the component manufacturer to communicate with whoever's installing their products on the job site. Now, a lot of times through the business relationship and the sales aspect of it, there's people making decisions that aren't actually the people that are going to use the components. And this is an opportunity for the component manufacturer to make sure that they're able to, give proper installation, proper bracing, just really a how-to in the installation. I think component manufacturers really assume a lot when they are shipping their products, that everybody on the other end of the delivery understands exactly how to install the product. This is an opportunity to really highlight some of the do's and don'ts and make sure that everybody's being safe in the use of the components. Now, from the other side of that equation, the customer, whoever is on the job site, and they might not even be the person that's paying for it, the business relationship might be completely different, but this is an opportunity for them if they're unfamiliar with certain aspects of installing components, or let's say it's a long span or floor truss is something that they're out of sorts with, or they're just not used to it, gives them an opportunity to really dive in and understand, okay, these are the bracing for temporary, for permanent, some of the things I should be looking out for, and really gives them an understanding of how to install the components properly to make sure that they're being safe, but also that the system that they're installing operates as it should or as it was intended by the designers and the technicians.
Yeah, I think that's a great perspective for that. So what kind of feedback have you heard from framers when they receive the job site packages consistently? How does that change the relationship between the component manufacturer and the framer?
I've heard it all sorts of different things. There's certain subset that really appreciates having the opportunity to look through those documents and to know that they're there. Does every word get read? Probably not, because it's bilingual a lot of times. But it is one of those that there is an appreciation that, like I said, there's specialities that can really impact certain things. And then there's the other, subset that thinks they've done it 10,000 times and they know everything. That's hard to communicate with, no matter how you're doing it. So I would encourage component manufacturers, GCs, people that are on the job site, framers, always take a step back. Every job is different, and review and really have a good mindset with installing components. And that mindset starts with reviewing all the documentation, not just the summary sheets that are included with the job site package, but also, understanding the truss design drawings, the layout, where the bracing is going to need to be, the restraints, all of that stuff. It's very important. So the job site package hopefully is kind of kicking off that mindset that goes into a safe and productive job site.
Yeah. So in that same vein of safety, how does the job site package when you have the paper version or the digital version help to support that mission of safety? And what is included in that job site package that might be a little bit different than what, you might see other places for that safety aspect?
Well, it really kind of breaks it down by phase. You've got temporary bracing, which is while the trusses, are being set and they're being installed, that there are temporary things that you need to do to make sure that they're going to stay static while you continue to set the remainder of the package. So really, that's the first part of understanding, okay, there's a temporary phase here. And then it goes into the permanent phase, and that's different. It has some, sometimes you can use the temporary bracing as the permanent, but it is one of those that you should be thinking about it as two separate functions and really understanding that, okay, the permanent is the life of the structure. That's where the continuous lateral restraints come in, the diagonal bracing, all of that BCSI information into the summary sheets is really important for that permanent bracing to make sure it just withstands the loads that it's going to endure during its life cycle. Prior to that, really understanding your job site and how to take care of the components, because rarely are they delivered and then installed in real time. There's probably going to be sitting there for a while. They're going to endure some weather, making sure that they're up off the ground. So there's a lot of, feedback that way. And then there's, fall protection, different instances, and just really understanding the totality of installation and being able to really fit that in.
Yeah. Let's talk about the component warning notice that is included in these job site packages. What is the component warning notice, and why is it so important for the job site package to include that?
So it's been a couple of years ago at this point that we really went through an effort of analyzing what one BCSI, which that's the main document that all of the job site package or the traditional job site package, the summary sheets are derived off of, and then looking at the job site package. And it's really a how-to. It's the installation, making sure that you get the bracing, making sure that you're safe while you do it. But there really wasn't ever anything that spoke to what are the risks in this actual product. If you look at a roof truss or a floor truss one-off, like just that as a product as you would a ladder or a window or a piece of siding or a bucket of tar, that as a product really didn't have anything specific to it. And trusses are all different. That's the other challenge we have. They're bespoke to whatever the condition is for that structure. And we realized that we didn't have anything that talked to the dangers or the potential application of those trusses and what could happen to a user that interacts with it. And that's both, while it's on the job site, while it's being installed, and, people will stage trusses in certain ways and they'll do things with them that are not recommended. And this is an opportunity for that component warning notice to really highlight that, hey, think for a second, half a second, however long it takes for you to do it the right way, not the easy way that might be walking on the trusses and when they're not intended to, handling them in a way that is dangerous, making sure that they're doing things that they're supposed to, that they've got proper fall protection, that they're thinking through all those things. So the component warning notice is really born out of, let's look at the individual truss, and that is a product which our manufacturers produce. It isn't just framing that's done somewhere else. It is an actual product. So with that component warning notice, really allows us to communicate that, yes, there are some things that can happen. It should be warned on the product. So it's really a 3-phase approach to it. In the job site package, we included a single sheet that highlights a lot of the things that they should be looking for, but it also is complemented by a tag that should accompany the trusses. Each truss should have its own tag that also explains the component warning notice and really gives them the pause. And then there's a QR code to that third leg of the triangle, if you will, that allows people to go to the website and really fully understand the component warning notice and everything that we want to be communicating there.
Yeah. So when we're looking at job site packages and all of the different options that there are to include different sheets, like the component warning notice, what are the benefits that you have between building a job site package for yourself through the electronic job site packages versus ordering the standard job site packages that are just the paper packages?
Well, there's a couple things in your question there, and I'll go first with kind of just the paper. And there are component manufacturers out there that think they can get by with just one sheet as opposed to the totality, all the different summary sheets and the different things that were included there. I really recommend going with kind of that industry standard, that best practice of the job site package that SBCA puts together. We have people that actually stuff the plastic bags that, we do that in Wisconsin. So there are opportunities to build your own, and anything's better than nothing. But at the same time, I would prefer to have the best practice, the industry standard, which is the job site package you can just buy off the website. So that's part of it. And then there are special instances to where maybe it's a post frame that you can add a document to that. You can buy those specifically from the website. Or if it's for floor trusses or log span trusses that really tailor to what the installer is going to be using with the trusses. Beyond that, and you alluded to this in your question, the electronic job site package, that's an opportunity to do all of this online. And we realized several years ago that people were using more iPads, phones, computers on the job site. And really, it was SBCA's effort to meet people where they were at. And that was, with the use of technology, being able to pull it up. And there's a lot of different applications there, but that's one that anything that we do in paper, we also have the ability to do with an electronic job site package as well. And that's a subscription base. And then people, can customize that based on their job a little bit more if they want. But it is an opportunity to really meet people where they're at and how they're willing to consume the material.
So when we're looking at the different versions of this job site package, the electronic, the paper, I think a lot of people might be on the fence of, well, am I too small to be using these job site packages? I only build 10, 15 houses a year. Is it going to be worth it? So what would you say to somebody who is looking at, what size component manufacturer are these job site packages for? And how do you kind of determine which ones are right for you?
Well, kind of from the builder perspective that might be doing 10 or 15 homes a year, let's take the decision out of the builder's hands and put it in the component manufacturers, to where no matter the size of the component manufacturer nor the job type, it's really an opportunity that allows a small component manufacturer to act as though it is a large component manufacturer and following these best practices. They're priced incrementally to where I think they're probably around $6 per job or per delivery. That's very approachable for any component manufacturer. And when you look at, I bought some trusses, a project I've got going on here, you're buying something that's in the thousands of dollars range every single time. The $6, that incremental really makes it approachable for the component manufacturer to be able to include that. Obviously, those are member prices, and we want you to become an SBCA member if you're not already. But it is one of those that it really allows that component manufacturer that's small to ride on the, I don't want to say ride on the coattails, but really to benefit from the totality of the efforts that SBCA has put into the job site package on their behalf. It's a lot of times you feel as though, as a small manufacturer, and I once was, that you're not able to do the systems, put the things in place, and really benefit like a large national organization might be able to, or a large national component manufacturer. That's where SPCA really is a value and a benefit to those small manufacturers, because we've got so many tools and best practices that can be implemented, and the job site package is the main one. It's one of those things that really, I think it benefits the small component manufacturer better, because it allows them to better communicate with the people that are installing the products. And they're less likely to be working with national builders. They're more likely to be one-off people. My fear was always shipping trusses to the people that rarely installed them. The church group that's going to do build a church on a weekend, once every 10 years. They're not familiar with those. That's where the small component manufacturer really needs to educate and really be able to communicate. And this is just one more way. Ideally, they would be on the job site helping them out, but we know that scalability isn't going to allow that to happen. But it is one that really, that job site package replaces that need and gives them the tips and tools for a proper installation.
So when we're looking at, being able to unify that look for component manufacturers sending out job site packages to their jobs, what does that look like in terms of being able to customize your job site package to look like it came from your company and not just like you're sending something out from SBCA?
Well, that's where, the plastic bag that comes along with it, it's a great opportunity to have your delivery ticket in there, your Truss design drawings, your layout, if you will, printed that. You can also put whatever else you want in there to let it know that it comes from you. There are some pages in there that allow you to stamp it if you want. We do have a few component manufacturers that will customize the actual sheets and print in there. That is available, although isn't widely used. But also that electronic job site package, that allows for a little bit more customization, that if you want a specific sheet, maybe you've got some drywall cracking or something, and that's one of the systems that we're building into it. Any of our documents, we're going to be able to build into that electronic job site package. Plus, it includes the address of the job, so you know where it's going, and it does some things there to really make it unique as well. But it's one of those that definitely uses as a baseline, and then do what you want or what you need to make it look and feel as though you are the component manufacturer producing it and sending it to your job sites, to where your customers create that relationship through the job site package to your product.
So if a member is already buying printed job site packages, how does the switch to the digital potentially save money or time, or is it convenience?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, there's definitely convenience there. And, it's one of those, I kind of like having multiple arrows in the quiver to shoot, if you need to. So sometimes you can only, say it's going up the chain to a engineer of record and you want them to understand some of the permanent bracing. That I think is where one application of the electronic job site package that you can email them and they can have it is special, to where you're not snail mailing it or, trying to do something that way. So that's an opportunity. And it's really, being flexible to whatever that customer needs. And obviously different customers have different needs. Some are using the iPads and the tablets out on the field. Others are still, let's write everything on paper, and they've got the paper plans spread out to build the project. So again, kind of like SBCA did with having that opportunity with the electronic job site package, it's meeting your customer where they're at and making sure that they're making it as easy for them to understand that information and communicate it. And sometimes, in association world, we say this quite a bit, sometimes you need to tell people something more than once, probably several times. And this is, the electronic and the paper is an opportunity to do that, just based on what it is that you think the customer needs to have, or the end installer needs to have for, that information in their hands.
Yeah. Can you give us any examples where it helped prevent a job site issue or made the communication smoother with a GC or framer while using those job site packages?
Kind of be a little flippant here, I guess. And every job that is successful is a great example. We hear of the occasional collapse or something where a project goes wrong. SBC is one of the first people to hear of those, because we are a resource for component manufacturers that way. And one of the first questions we ask is, did the bracing look like? Was there a copy of BCSI or job site package on? So it's really one of those check boxes of like, okay, what information did they have at their disposal? And if they didn't, okay, these are how some of the things we need to look at. Obviously, life safety is always first and foremost with all of it. And the job site package, if we can prevent any accident, it's well worth it. But I like to think, and we'll never be able to find data to support this, but the use of job site packages make for safer job sites and safer installation of components. And think of every time that you don't get the call, or every time that you send one and it's a successful install, I think that's a success for the job site package. Now, again, they might not go through every page, read it verbatim, but it is one of those that it's there, it's an opportunity. And hopefully they're thinking about the proper installation, the proper bracing, the restraints, and that helps, create a successful, ideally repeat customer as a result.
So if someone's curious about job site packages, but maybe hasn't tested them out, hasn't signed up yet, what's the best way to go about beginning this process of including job site packages?
Well, if it's one of those, I really recommend talking to component manufacturers that have used them and why they use them. They've got probably the best firsthand information. Our staff is a great resource. You yourself, Abby, are a great resource to understand that, and really getting to know what the information is there. Hopefully they have a copy of BCSI at their location that they can reference. Really, the job site package summarizes the most important, not all of it, but the most important information into the summary sheets, and really understand the material. And that's only going to make the component manufacturer that much more valuable to their customer, to the installer, when they do have questions, they can answer it, but also they can reference them back to, okay, look at the B2 summary on the temporary bracing, or, hey, you should not be stacking that much drywall in those floor trusses, that sort of stuff. But really, check it out, get engaged with SPCA, even if it's just perusing our website, looking through what's included, and maybe thinking, gosh, I wish I really had some of this information. We're open to feedback. But really, the engagement's the best way. You can look at them, order a few. The price points really are incremental to where you are able to get into it and really understand what it is. And end all be all needs to be, call us up for a sample. Maybe we'll be able to ship something out to help you understand what it is, to really drive that usage forward and, make the installation of components as safe, as reliable, and as intended as it can be. Because again, we're dealing with, 40-foot, 50-foot long pieces of wood tied together with plates, that it's a really difficult thing that we do. And to just assume people understand how to install them properly is a huge assumption. And I'd like to take that away from that and really help them with the use of a job site package.
Absolutely. So if you were to leave one piece of final advice or maybe a little bit of nudging to use job site packages, what would that final nudge be that you think component manufacturers need to hear when they are looking at implementing job site packages?
Think about everybody you sell components to. I use the little old lady example that when I was selling trusses, building trusses, little old lady walks into my shop and wants to buy trusses. I was selling her trusses. Now, was she capable of installing them? That was, something that crossed my mind. But the job site package helps inform her and whoever else is doing the job. Maybe she's helping or she's doing it all herself or however it is. But think about the people that you're providing the components to, and do they know as much as you? Do they know everything they should? Job site packages help close that gap. And that's really where it's not a matter of assuming they know, it's closing that gap to encouraging them, read this material. And even if you think you know it, there's going to pick up little things, have the review, make sure you're running good job sites, and make sure that, the trusses are installed as they're intended and everybody walks away safe, happy, and ready to do the job again next week.
Well, I think this has been very informative for our listeners, but also for me. I think it's a good reminder as we, get into the busier seasons of building about what's important and what our component manufacturers, our builders, our framers need to be keeping top of mind, which is safety overall. So I think this has been a wonderful reminder for everybody. And if you all have any questions about job site packages, about any SPCA membership opportunities, please feel free to reach out to us. Our information is on the website, or you can reach out, via email or phone. So thank you so much, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, Abby. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Component Connection, brought to you by SPCA. If there's a topic you'd like us to explore in a future episode, email us at podcast@spcacomponents.com. Until next time, stay connected.